Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a deep dive into something that's probably become
Yeah.
part of your daily routine without you even realizing it. QR codes.
Yeah.
But not just any QR codes. We're talking about how they're changing the way we check in at work,
hmm
and not just for visitors either.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see how this technology, which, many of us associate with things like restaurant menus or paying bills,
Mm,
is now being used to, enhance security and streamline processes in the workplace.
right. Like it seems like everywhere you turn there's a QR code these days.
Mm.
The source material for our deep dive today is an article from Teamgo, a company that specializes in visitor management software.
Mm-hmm.
They're really kind of pushing the boundaries of what's possible with QR codes.
Mm.
And I think what they're doing has implications for anyone who works in an office,
Mm.
visits one, or just has a general interest in how technology is shaping the modern workplace.
Absolutely. What Teamgo is doing is particularly relevant now, given the increasing demand for contactless solutions in the post-pandemic world. Their system offers a way to manage check-ins while minimizing physical contact.
Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of how this system actually works. I was reading through the article, and one of the things that jumped out at me was the emphasis on security. Teamgo claims that their QR code system is more secure than traditional methods, like sign-in sheets.
And they have a point. Think about it. With a traditional sign-in sheet, anyone can just write down any name. There's no real way to verify the identity of the person signing in. But with Teamgo system, each QR code is unique and tied to a specific individual's identity within their system. So this makes it much harder for someone to, fake an entry or gain unauthorized access.
So it's kind of like having a digital fingerprint for each person.
Exactly. The uniqueness of each QR code stems from its underlying data structure, which can be tied to an employee's unique ID within Teamgo's system. This connection between the physical QR code and the digital identity is really what strengthens security.
That makes sense.
Huh.
But what about the practicalities? Like, how do visitors actually use this system? Do they need to download an app or create an account?
So Teamgo offers a few different options for check-in, which I think is one of the things that makes their system so versatile. Visitors can use their own smartphones to scan a QR code that's displayed at the entrance. They don't necessarily need to download the app, although the app does offer additional features and convenience for frequent visitors or employees.
So what about people who don't have a smartphone or prefer not to use their personal device for work-related purposes?
Right. For those individuals, Teamgo offers dedicated iPad kiosks that can be placed at entry points. Visitors can use the kiosk to scan a pre-generated QR code that's been emailed to them, or they can enter their information directly into the kiosk. To generate a unique QR code on the spot.
Okay, so there's flexibility built into this system. The article also mentions something called the Teamgo Pass app. What's the deal with that?
The Teamgo Pass app is designed primarily for employees. It essentially acts as a digital identity card that allows employees to check in using their smartphone.
So no more fumbling for your badge or remembering a PIN code.
Exactly. Employees can simply open the app, scan the QR code at the entrance, and they're in.
See, that sounds incredibly convenient. But I do wonder if it might blur the lines between work and personal time. Like if you can check in from anywhere, does that mean work is always just a QR code away? It's an interesting thing to consider.
You're right to point that out. The convenience of always-on access comes with potential downsides. And it's something both employers and employees need to be mindful of as we integrate these technologies into our work lives.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've talked about the visitor check-in process in the Teamgo Pass app. What else caught your eye in the article?
Well, one of the things that impressed me was the level of customization that Teamgo offers. For example, employers can set specific expiration times for visitor badges.
So if a visitor is only authorized to be in the building for a certain number of hours, their badge will automatically expire after that time.
That's right. It adds another layer of security and prevents people from using outdated or unauthorized badges to gain access.
It seems like Teamgo has really thought through the potential security vulnerabilities of QR codes and built-in safeguards to address them.
Yes, and this attention to security is one of the key things that differentiates Teamgo from some of the other visitor management systems out there. It's not just about convenience, it's about creating a secure and controlled environment.
Okay, so we've covered the security aspects and the different ways people can check in. What about the data itself? Like, where is all this information being stored and how is it being protected?
That's a great question. Teamgo emphasizes data security and privacy in their article. They state that sensitive visitor data is not actually stored within the QR code itself. Instead, the QR code acts as a key to access information that is stored securely within Teamgo's cloud-based system.
So even if someone were to scan the QR code, they wouldn't be able to see any personal information about the visitor.
Correct. The QR code simply triggers the system to retrieve the relevant information associated with that specific code.
It's reassuring to hear. I think people are becoming increasingly concerned about data privacy these days, especially when it comes to using their smartphones and sharing personal information with various apps and services.
Absolutely. And that's why it's important for companies like Teamgo to be transparent about their data security practices and to ensure that they're complying with all relevant privacy regulations.
There's a lot to consider, but I think we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about how the system works for both visitors and employees, the security features, and the importance of data privacy.
We have, and it's clear that Teamgo has put a lot of thought into creating a system that is both secure and user-friendly. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to explore, especially regarding how this technology can be used for employee badges and the implications for things like time tracking and access control.
You're right, we've only just scratched the surface. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll delve even deeper into the world of QR code-based check-in systems with Teamgo. Welcome back, everyone. We've been unpacking Teamgo's approach to using QR codes for secure check-ins, and one of the things that really stood out in the article was how they're extending this technology beyond visitor management to employee badges.
It's a natural progression, really, if you think about it. The core concept of using a unique QR code to represent an individual's identity can be applied to employees just as easily as it can to visitors.
Right. But wouldn't using QR codes on employee badges raise concerns about privacy, especially if it's tied to tracking their movements and work hours?
That's where things get interesting. While Teamgo's system allows for integration with time tracking and access control, it also emphasizes the importance of transparency and user consent. They highlight the need for clear communication with employees about how their data is being used, and for obtaining informed consent before implementing any tracking features.
So it's not a situation where employees are automatically opted into tracking without their knowledge.
It shouldn't be. Teamgo emphasizes the importance of responsible data management practices. They talk about the need for data encryption, secure storage, and compliance with privacy regulations.
But even with safeguards in place, I imagine some employees might still feel uncomfortable with the idea of their employer tracking their every move within the workplace.
That's understandable. There's a delicate balance to strike between leveraging technology for efficiency and respecting employee privacy. Companies need to be mindful of potential concerns and address them proactively through open dialogue and clear policies.
This reminds me of something we discussed earlier, the potential for blurring the lines between work and personal time. If employers have access to detailed data about employee movements, it could create a sense of pressure to always be on or visible within the workplace, even during breaks or personal time.
That's a valid point. It raises questions about what constitutes reasonable tracking and what crosses the line into excessive monitoring. It's an ongoing conversation that needs to happen as workplace technologies evolve.
Definitely. It's not just about the technology itself, it's about how we use it and the ethical considerations that come along with it. Okay, so let's assume a company has addressed the privacy concerns and employees are on board with using QR code badges. How does this system actually work in practice?
The process is similar to visitor check-in, but instead of registering their details upon arrival, employees would already have their information, including their unique QR code stored within Teamgo's system.
So when an employee scans their badge at the entrance, it's not just about verifying their identity, but also potentially triggering a timestamp or logging their entry.
Exactly. The system can be configured to track employee hours, breaks, and even time spent in specific areas of the building, all based on when and where they scan their badge.
That level of detail could be incredibly valuable for employers, especially for businesses with hourly employees or those with complex scheduling needs.
It's true. Having accurate time and attendance data can help with payroll accuracy, optimize staffing levels, and even track progress.
But couldn't this level of tracking create an environment where employees feel like they're constantly being watched and judged?
It's certainly a possibility, but it's important to remember that the data collected can be used for positive purposes as well. For example, if an employee is consistently working overtime, the data could prompt a conversation about workload management or provide insights into team dynamics and potential areas for improvement.
So it's not just about monitoring employees,
Hmm.
but also about understanding their work patterns
Yeah.
and potentially identifying areas where they might need additional support or resources.
Precisely. When used thoughtfully, data can be a powerful tool for improving the workplace experience, not just for employers, but for employees as well. It can highlight areas for improvement, facilitate better communication, and even personalize work environments to meet individual needs.
But what about the security aspect? We talked earlier about how QR codes can be used to enhance security. But couldn't there be a risk of someone duplicating an employee badge or using a stolen badge to gain access?
Teamgo addresses this concern by implementing various security measures. They offer customizable badge designs and expiration times, which makes it more difficult to create counterfeit badges.
So if an employee loses their badge or it gets stolen, the employer can quickly deactivate that badge within the system.
Exactly. And because the QR code is only a trigger, not a storage device for sensitive data, even if a physical badge is compromised, the potential damage is limited. The real security lies in how Teamgo manages and protects the data associated with each employee within their system.
That's reassuring to hear. I think whenever we talk about using technology for things like access control or time tracking, security has to be top of mind.
Absolutely. And it's not just about protecting sensitive employee data, it's also about ensuring the physical safety of everyone in the workplace.
That's a good point. A robust security system can help prevent unauthorized individuals from gaining access to restricted areas or sensitive information.
And that's something Teamzo seems to have taken very seriously. Their system is designed to be both secure and flexible, which is crucial for meeting the diverse needs of modern workplaces.
We've talked a lot about the potential benefits and some of the concerns surrounding this technology, but how does TeamGo's approach compare to other visitor management systems out there? Are they the only ones using QR codes in this way?
While Teamgo is certainly at the forefront of this trend, they're not the only company exploring the use of QR codes in visitor management. There are other systems on the market that utilize similar technology. But what sets Teamgo apart is their focus on data security, integration with other workplace systems, and their emphasis on user experience.
Their system seems to offer a good balance of functionality, security, and ease of use.
Yes, and they've managed to achieve this. While leveraging a technology that is already widely adopted and familiar to most people, QR codes are everywhere these days, so there's a low barrier to entry for users.
That's true. Most people are already comfortable using QR codes for things like mobile payments or accessing information online.
Exactly. So adopting a QR code-based system for visitor management or employee badges doesn't require a steep learning curve for users.
I think that's a really important consideration, especially when you're implementing new technology in the workplace. The easier it is for people to use, the more likely they are to adopt it and embrace it.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another interesting aspect of Teamzugo's system. Its potential to improve the overall workplace experience, not just for visitors, but for employees as well.
I'm curious to hear more about that. We've talked about the practical benefits, like security and efficiency. But how can a system like this actually enhance the workplace experience on a more personal level?
Well, imagine a scenario where an employee walks into the office, scans their badge, and is greeted with a personalized message on a digital display. It could be something as simple as a welcome message, but it could also include relevant information like upcoming meetings, deadlines, or even birthday reminders.
That's interesting. It's almost like the workplace is becoming more responsive to individual needs and preferences.
Exactly. And as technology continues to evolve, we can expect to see even more personalized and intuitive workplace experiences, powered by QR codes and other digital tools.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, from the technical details of how the system works to the broader implications for security, privacy, and the future of work. What stands out to you as the most significant takeaway?
For me, it's the realization that something as simple as a QR code can be a catalyst for profound change in the workplace. It's not just about replacing old methods with new ones, it's about reimagining how we interact with our work environments and how we can leverage technology to create more secure, efficient, and ultimately more human-centered workplaces.
That's a great way to put it. It's not just about the technology itself, it's about how we use it to shape the future of work.
Exactly. And that's a conversation that's only going to become more important as technology continues to advance.
Well, I think we've given our listener a lot to think about. We've explored the ins and outs of Teamgo's QR code-based check-in system, discussed the potential benefits and challenges, and even touched upon some of the broader implications for the future of work.
We have. And it's clear that this technology is just the tip of the iceberg. As QR codes become increasingly integrated into our lives, we can expect to see even more innovative applications emerge, blurring the lines between the physical and digital worlds in ways we can only begin to imagine.
It's an exciting time to be following these developments. But before we get too carried away with visions of the future, let's bring things back to the present and focus on one final question. What are the potential downsides or limitations of this technology? And what are some things to consider before implementing a QR code-based check-in system?
That's a crucial question, and it's one that deserves a deeper dive. We've touched upon some of the concerns around privacy and the potential for misuse, but there are other factors to consider, such as cost, integration with existing systems, and the need for contingency plans in case of technical issues.
You're right. We need to approach this technology with a critical eye and carefully weigh the potential benefits against the potential risks.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we'll do in the final part of our deep dive. We'll explore the practical considerations, address potential challenges, and discuss how to ensure a responsible and ethical implementation of this technology.
So stay tuned, everyone. We'll be back shortly to wrap up our exploration of QR code-based check-in systems with Teamgo. Welcome back. We've been exploring Teamgo's take on QR code check-in systems, and while there's a lot to be excited about, we can't ignore the potential downsides.
That's right. We talked about the potential impact on privacy and employee autonomy, but there are practical considerations too. Cost is a big one. Implementing a new system like this, it involves not just the software itself, but potentially hardware like iPad kiosks, badge printers, and even network upgrades to handle the increased data flow.
Yeah, and that's not even factoring in the potential ongoing subscription fees for software updates and support. It seems like a company would need to carefully weigh those costs against the potential benefits before making the leap.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the initial investment either. There's also the cost of training staff to use the new system effectively and troubleshooting any technical issues that might arise.
Speaking of technical issues, what happens if the system goes down? We've all experienced internet outages or software glitches. What are the contingency plans in a scenario like that?
That's where having a robust backup plan is crucial. Teamgo emphasizes the importance of offline functionality, ensuring that core features, like check-in and access control, can still operate even if there's a temporary disruption in internet connectivity.
So even if the internet goes down, employees and visitors can still access the building using their QR codes.
Exactly. The system should be designed to store essential data locally, so that it can function independently in offline mode. Of course, the full functionality might be limited until the connection is restored, but at least basic operations can continue uninterrupted.
That's good to hear. It sounds like Teamgo has put some thought into these potential points of failure.
Yes, and it highlights the importance of choosing a system that prioritizes redundancy and reliability. You don't want to be left scrambling for a plan B when your entire security system relies on a stable internet connection.
Right. It's not just about convenience. It's about security and safety as well.
Exactly. And that brings us to another crucial aspect: integration with existing systems. Many companies already have security protocols in place, data management systems, and access control measures. So how does a system like Teamgo integrate with these existing frameworks?
That's a good point. You wouldn't want to end up with a fragmented system where different technologies are operating in silos.
Precisely. Teamgo emphasizes the importance of seamless integration with existing infrastructure. They provide APIs and other tools that allow companies to connect their QR code system with existing security cameras, access control systems, and even employee databases.
So rather than replacing existing systems entirely, it's about finding ways to enhance and streamline them using QR code technology.
That's the idea. It's about leveraging the strengths of different technologies to create a more comprehensive and efficient security ecosystem.
But isn't there a risk of creating a system that's too complex
Yeah,
and difficult to manage if you're trying to integrate multiple technologies?
that's a valid concern, and it highlights the importance of careful planning and implementation. You need to have a clear understanding of your existing systems, your specific needs, and how a QR code system can best complement your overall security strategy.
It seems like the key to success is finding the right balance between innovation and practicality. You don't want to get so caught up in the latest technology that you end up with a system that's over-engineered and difficult to use.
Exactly. It's about choosing the right tools for the job and implementing them in a way that enhances security, improves efficiency, and ultimately makes life easier for everyone involved.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. We've explored the potential benefits, considered the potential risks, and discussed the practical considerations of implementing a QR code-based check-in system like the one Teamgo offers.
We have. And while there are certainly challenges to consider, it's clear that this technology has the potential to transform the way we interact with our work environments.
It's exciting to think about the possibilities as this technology continues to evolve.
It is. And it's a reminder that innovation often comes from unexpected places. Who would have thought that a simple QR code could have such a profound impact on the workplace?
It just goes to show that there's always something new to discover and new ways to apply existing technologies to solve problems and improve our lives.
Exactly. And it leaves us with a final thought-provoking question to ponder. As we continue to integrate technology into our work lives, how can we ensure that we're using it in a way that empowers individuals, enhances our well-being, and creates a more equitable and fulfilling future of work?
That's a great question to leave our listeners with. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of QR code check-in systems. We hope you found it informative and insightful. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those QR codes handy.